What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hamlin, aka the Laptop Legend, and today I made $1,759.39 day trading these stocks. Now, it was another really frustrating day. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Fidelity was not working again this morning, and for about the first hour of the day, maybe a little bit less, maybe the first 40 minutes, but pretty much the prime hours of the day, it was not letting you place any orders through the directed trade window, at least not on OTC stocks, and there were so many opportunities. So hopefully those of you guys who do not use Fidelity were banking this morning, because we had a lot of stocks that had some really good opportunities. AABB had a little dip right at the morning and then just shot up a ridiculous amount. I would have made probably 5,000 on that. And we had a couple other stocks do some crazy good things, and I missed out on that too. But I was still able to be profitable on the day, even though I had $0 in profits at about an hour into the day, because I was able to focus on the best setups and stick to my rules, which is cut losses quickly and let the winners add up. Because if they're small, but you have a bunch of them and very few big losers, you're gonna have them add up. So that's what happened today. Very frustrating, but we got a lot of good plays for tomorrow, and I am praying to the stock gods that Fidelity does not crash tomorrow morning, because I do not want to miss this setup. There's one setup in particular that I think is going to be incredibly good, and there's a couple other ones that I think are going to be pretty darn good as well. So if you guys want to hear about those and how I'm planning on hopefully making many thousands tomorrow, keep watching past the end of this intro. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Please like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I make these videos every single day. And check out the link for the Patreon, the Discord, and the link below if you're interested in hearing about these stocks live as they unfold. And that's pretty much it. So let's do it. All right, guys. So if you'll recall, I talked about TCAT in yesterday's video, and the NFT madness continued today. Now, this one was actually a crazy play because again, if you remember, it squeezed all the way up from 5 to 25 yesterday. So I mean, pretty wild. And then held its gains pretty well in the after hours. In pre-market, it was spiking up big, had a nice washout long right here at open, and spiked all the way up to $40, came all the way back down here. It got stuck in a T1 halt, which is a halt pending news. I'm going to do probably a whole video about halts so you guys understand it a little better, but typically speaking, when you get a stock that is halted down on a volatility halt and then it turns into a T1 halt, it sees a nice little gap down. So you can see this candle was at 11:45 a.m. and then this opened. Okay, I guess it halted down here then. That's weird. All right, so this one was 10:25 a.m. This opened 11:45. So it was halted for an hour and 20 minutes, and it obviously gapped down a lot after that. And what's crazy is that it came all the way back up. I guess not all the way back, but I mean, in after hours, it literally came all the way back up. That's insane. And I know a lot of people who made some good money on this, and I know some people who lost some money on this. And this is not the type of play that I like to play, but I love showing these stocks because they prove how hot sectors can get, and when they start running together, it gets pretty insane. So WKEY, this put out some more NFT news, and literally, pretty much any stock that puts out NFT news, it feels like is spiking harder than it should and continuing on up. This had two upside halts. You can see 12 p.m., this is 12:10 p.m., and then this is 12:20 p.m. So it had two 10-minute upside halts, and absolutely wild. I mean, if you could have gotten in here before this second halt, it probably would have been a decent entry, especially knowing that, everything NFT is going absolutely insane. So the NFT news caused this spike up here, and I mean, it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild. So I feel like a lot of stocks are putting out these press releases about NFTs, and then they're spiking up big. So really be looking out for that, because this is just like when the weed sector was hot, just like when the shipping sector was hot, just like when the meme sector was hot. Literally anything that's talking about NFTs at a press release is going to spike really big right now. So if you guys see any stock that puts out a press release about NFTs, it's probably a pretty good sign that stock is going to go whoosh. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. There were a couple other low floaters that were kind of, what's the word? Yeah, JFIN. I think this was another one of those, NFT stocks. I could be wrong on that, but it had pretty similar price action today. Some people said this was very manipulated, but I mean, just you guys can see they're moving really hard, and it's kind of an ugly market to be, a shorter in. OCG squeezed all the way up here. I mean, remember, guys, this stock is insane. Stock is insane, and gave all those gains back. and then bounced a little bit. But I mean, definitely more of a shorting opportunity today than a longing opportunity. But overall, NFT plays, guys, they're gonna keep running as long as NFT news keeps coming out. So look for those stocks. Now, the play of the day for tomorrow, my focus for tomorrow, is going to be AABB. And if you guys zoom in a little bit here, you can see it did have the dip buy that we wanted, but it was a pretty lame dip buy. You know, I mean, this really wasn't a morning panic. This was just to get a good entry. So I probably when I saw it bouncing here, probably would have tried to buy, you know, limit 37, I would say. And probably pretty big size. And you can see it had a lot of range today. So it went straight from, you know, call it 36. It went all the way up, straight to 41, bounced a little bit off of that 41, you know, psychological resistance, and then just kept ripping all the way up to 44.88. And again, I could not trade this entire window here, pretty much this entire window here. And when I finally could trade, you know, things cooled down a little bit. Now, I still made the most money of any stock on AABB. I got in on some of these dip buys. I also got screwed on this dip buy, so I lost a little bit here. But overall, I made 555 on this stock. But the reason I'm telling you guys about it is because let's zoom out a little bit and look at the 20-day chart. All right, guys, so my internet just went out there, but I am now on my Wi-Fi hotspot, so let's try this again. So this is the chart. If we look, you know, let me give it a little bit more time. Let's go time frame. What do we want? I want 15 minutes for 90 days. Let's do that. Just so you guys can see, you know, kind of the extent of this run. So, I mean, this was up an insane amount. I don't even know what it was at down here. It went all the way up to a high of 65.9 and then came crashing back down, found a low around 10 cents, and it's now up from 10 cents, bounced off of kind of 50, and is now at 41. So I am personally, tomorrow, I'm expecting a nice morning panic and a nice bounce off that morning panic. Now, I would love a big morning panic. You can see some of these days, we got some huge panics. Some absolutely huge panics. If we got something like this, that would be ideal. Like this. So you guys can see, I mean, it panicked from 52 down to 32, and then bounced from 32 all the way up to 48, 49. I would love to see, you know, a 20-cent drop. It probably won't do that. Let's be real here. But if we see a drop from, you know, 40 all the way down to 25, and then a bounce off there all the way up to 35 or something like that, that would be sick. So my number one watch for tomorrow is AABB, because it's had so much range, and it's been absolutely beautiful on these morning panics. So I'm gonna be looking out for that, and that's definitely my main focus, man. That's my main focus. Potential bounce areas, you know, again, I see some decent support, you know, between 20 and 25 in this area, so I could see it bouncing here. Hopefully it tanks that far, but you know, it might not, guys. It might not tank that far. It might only tank to 36, 35, somewhere in this area, in the mid-30s. So just have to be aware, have to be ready to catch it. Again, I'll be calling it live out in the Discord. And I don't always get these things perfect, guys. I don't, but I'm pretty good, decently, you know, I would say the majority of the time, picking the right spot for the bounce area. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I cut and I lose money. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty excited, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity on AABB. So that's my number one focus. Now, TSNPD also had a really nice dip buy right at open, and I missed this one as well. And then it had a huge run. It ran up 50 cents a share off of that bounce. 10,000 shares, that's $5,000 right there. Now, I wouldn't have been patient enough to hold for all that, but I would have gotten a chunk of this move. I would have gotten something. And Fidelity didn't let me trade it. So really stinks, but I think we could get a panic on this, or we could get a rip right out of the gate on this if it rips past 354. It's going to be cool. So we'll see. I would be surprised if this ripped hard before, you know, past this level hard like this, another run like this, before we get more news out of this stock. So I would say we probably need news to get another rip like that. So, I mean, for me, the bigger focus would be, you know, potential panic bounce. That's what I'd be looking for on TSNPD. But definitely some opportunities here. You guys can see there's a lot of range on this stock. And I still like overall how it trades, even though, you know, it trades a little differently now that it's a multi-dollar stock versus a penny stock, which is what it was when I first started trading it, when I first started making videos about it. So WSGF, this is one that I underestimated. I definitely underestimated. We got a press release midday, 10:19. I called it out in the Discord 5 seconds after it happened, and I got in somewhat big, right here, and right at the bottom, right before it started spiking up. Definitely before this area. Might have been 281, something like that, and then it spiked all the way up to 329. I definitely could have made a lot more, but I sold too early, as I always do. But better to sell too early than sell too late. So keep that in mind. This is a stock that will spike up midday whenever it gets a press release. So I just love when that happens. Cool that it happened today, and just one you want to keep an eye on. ALYI. This also had a press release midday. Same exact story. You can see when all this volume came in. I got a pop-up, and I told everyone about the press release. I was able to make only 327 on this one because I sold way too early. Again, always sell way too early, but just nice to have these little plays midday. So like if you get one of these, if you get a couple breaking news plays in the middle of the day, it can really add up. And guys, I do this every single day, literally every single day. So 300 here, 300 there. I made 330 off of WSGF. So you make 300 from one breaking news play, 300 from another. You do that pretty much every single day. $600 a day. It really adds up, guys. It really adds up. And sometimes I make a lot more on these breaking news plays. So just got to see if I'm ready for it and the chart is appealing and I can get more shares, then it can be better. Typically, I'm not patient enough because I'm not sure how much the news will affect it. A lot of times it's fluff news, so there's an immediate spike and then there's kind of a dip off of that. So you got to be careful chasing stuff like this because you guys might have gotten caught up here. So if it's fluffy news, they've been talking about these electric motorcycles all the time. They're basically just trying to hop on that electric vehicle hype. So, I mean, maybe they're going to be cool motorcycles. I have no idea. Again, I always assume the stocks I'm trading are a scam, so I don't end up turning into a bag holder. But, a lot of these stocks know how to play the game. So they'll release press releases in hot sectors to drive the price of their stock up for whatever reason, whether that's they have warrants outstanding and they're going to dilute it, or they want to do an offering, or whatever it is for compensation reasons. They do that a lot. That's why NFT press releases are really hot right now. So just keep that in mind. HIPH, this was another press release midday. I also called this one out. Did not expect it to run this hard. I bought some. Maybe this was the one I bought at 81. I bought one of these at 81. I forget, guys. I have so many orders today. I don't want to scroll through them all to tell you the exact entry. It might have been this one. I also called this one out. Also got a pop-up on this one. Spiked up really nicely. But, I mean, I bought a bunch here and ended up selling it, like, here. So pretty lame. And then it ran all the way up here. I missed most of this move. It had really slow execution, so I didn't feel like chasing because this is one of the ones where if you buy and then try to sell, you're going to get burned. Going to get absolutely burned. Yes, I think it was right in this area where my fidelity started working. Thank goodness. I made 170 on this play. Probably the runner of the day was ICBU in OTC land. This one, I guess, was up yesterday and closed right near the highs. Gapped up today, had a tiny little panic, and then just started ripping, continued running. And I made a good amount on it. I made a good amount dip buying. But here's the thing, guys. I got screwed right at the end of the day, and I think I want to change this so I never have this happen again. So basically, what happened was a lot of time, I'm not very patient, and a lot of times I get in on these dips, like right here, I get the bottom perfect, and then I sell like right here, So say I buy 36 and I sell at 37 and it runs all the way up to, 4. So when that happens, I'm a little frustrated with myself. That happened over and over and over again on this stock. I dip buy here and I sell here and it runs all the way up to here. So it's very frustrating when that happens for me. Again, I dip bought here at 325 area, and then I ended up selling at like 335, and it runs all the way back up to 4 again. So very frustrating for me that I'm not patient enough. So I was working on being more patient, and it turns out that came back to screw me later on. So I ended up dip buying. I started dip buying right here, and I bought too big in the beginning, which is why I screwed myself. And it kept dipping, and I figured, it's just going to bounce. So I added down here, and it kept dipping. So I added down here, and it bounced a little bit, and then it died. And instead of cutting what I should have, I just kept holding on, and I kept adding. I may have cut a little bit, but I couldn't really get filled here. And the reason for that was every time it looked like it was going to break down, it just ended up bouncing. And once it's already bouncing, it's very difficult to get it fill. So I was kind of tired of like, you know, cutting, and then having it bounce, and I can't get fill in the bounce. So I was just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to kind of hold these shares until it bounces. But then it just ended up selling off again into the end of the day. So pretty frustrating there. Pretty frustrating. I think part of the reason that this happened was the stock was up so much again on the day, probably created a lot of bag holders. And then no one wants to hold it overnight because it still has a long way to fall. So I think that's probably part of what it was. If this type of panic had happened, you know, midday, it definitely would have bounced from here. I'm very confident in that. So I think, you know, right before close, if there's a panic like this, I shouldn't be as patient because you can't trade OTC stocks after hours on most brokers, and because of that, you know, it's less likely to bounce if people don't want to hold it overnight. So that's just a little thing I want to keep in mind, and I hope you guys keep in mind. Be less patient on your dip buys if there's 2 minutes till close because they're less likely to bounce. So I just want to provide that. Anything else in here? IMTL, this one actually I called that out yesterday and ran a lot today. It really did. It closed right at those highs. Had a little, you know, gap down. I think it gapped down, or maybe it just opened here and then panicked all the way down, and then bounced hard all the way up. Very choppy stock overall, so you definitely don't want to chase this one, but it can provide some good entries. I think this is, I'm not sure. I thought that this was, I could be wrong. I thought this had something to do with crypto or NFTs or something like that. Again, I haven't done the research on this. Maybe the press releases are just not showing up here. But I think this thing can keep running. I really do. So just keep it on your watch list. It held this support pretty well towards the end of the day. So if it starts moving tomorrow, look to hop on that momentum early before it dumps off and keep a tight risk, obviously. But that's kind of the move on that. There were a couple other stocks that I just wanted to mention real quick. Let's see if I can get them. I think my internet's working again. I think it's working. Let's see. Yeah, so MVES. This is another stock, another one of those ones that was just running insane. You know, just one of those ones that really hits you with the FOMO. And sorry to say this, but Rohan, you're getting the shout out today. We had a member of our Discord buy it right at the top and then average down, I think, on this candle, and then just turn kind of into a bag holder on this one. And this is just an example of a chart of why you never, ever want to do that, especially if you have a small account, you're under PDT. Every single dollar of profit is so important. If you take way too big size on a stock that's up, you know, from 2 cents all the way up to 16 cents, what is that, an 800% gain? Or just 8x, 700% gain? I can't do the math in my head. But I mean, that's a big gain. And it does not have to keep spiking. So you got to be really careful if you chase these. If you chase them, you got to chase with small size and be willing to cut immediately if it goes against you. There's no other way to do it, because otherwise you turn into a bag holder and you take a $2,000 loss on a small account. And I'm not saying that to, again, you know, call you out, but I want people to learn from your mistake, because this is a chart that's really ugly. And just because a lot of the stocks that we've been seeing, MDMP, you know, UAMM, all those have been, you know, spiking up big, pulling back a little bit, and then just continue to run an insane amount, it does not mean that that is normal, and it does not mean that every stock has to do that. And if you buy with big size at the top on just one of these plays, expecting it to keep going, and then it just fades back down, you're going to make it's so hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So I really want to prevent you guys from doing that. Again, I care about the success of anyone who's watching this channel, and that is just not a disciplined strategy. You got to cut your losses quickly. You got to do it. Even if you're under PDT and that means you're losing buying power, or that counts as a day trade, it's what you're going to have to do. And ultimately, this is a really bad risk to reward trade. It really is. Because downside, if you hold and hope, is, you know, pretty big. And the chances that it keeps spiking from this area are pretty low. So just keep that in mind, guys. You know, if you can get in on a crazy dip like this, you know, it's probably an okay risk reward trade, even though it's still up a lot on the day. But just overall, I mean, the volume just died off. It's just gross. It's just gross. So this is what a chart can look like if you turn into a bag holder. And I don't want to see you guys do that. I don't want to see it. So keep that in mind. UAMM, this one squeezed a little bit today, but just pretty gross overall. I lost $77 on it, $78 on it. So nothing spectacular there. TTCM, this spiked up a little bit. But overall, volume was not too impressive overall on the day. So honestly, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't have a ton of other stocks for you today. AITX, I guess I want to mention this one. It helps to know the history of stocks as well, because AITX had a press release. They signed a lease for new production facility in Greater Detroit area for more of their robotics, and it looked like a pretty cool lease. This had no good effect on the stock at all. Literally, they put this out 8 a.m. and the stock just tanked it open, did not bounce at all, and Fat Man just he didn't let it bounce. So this stock was trying to bounce, could not at all day long. I mean, some tiny moves in here, but just absolutely disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting, and it's sad because this stock used to be good, and now it's just trash. Now it is just absolute trash. So hate to see it, but you just got to know your stocks. OZSC really did nothing today, just consolidated all day long. The fact that it held this area, I would say, is decent. It kind of broke under it a tiny bit, but still pretty decent consolidation here. So stocks typically like to rip after they have some consolidation. So I like seeing this consolidation level. I like seeing it. I'm not sure what it's going to mean, but it's fine for me when stocks consolidate. Maybe it's just building a higher base to run off of the next time we get some news. And again, we know that there's a lot of PRs coming on OZSC, so potentially could see some spike ups, but it's hard for me to trust it just because I know that there's a lot of manipulation. So I don't want to chase with big size on a stock like this because I could easily get burned for $1,000, $2,000. So keep that in mind. Trade with caution. Get in big if you can get a good entry, but otherwise be very careful and always cut your losses. That is it for today, guys. That is it. Hopefully you guys stay safe out there in this crazy world with brokers that are not working. Hope Fidelity works tomorrow. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you. I got nothing today. I got nothing at all. Really nothing. Nothing interesting. I'm feeling boring today. I'm just mainly upset at Fidelity. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the Discord. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.